having to get this information from the mainstream press. People in the United States are completely unaware of this. If I go out and talk about this, the United States press will attack me. Everything that we're looking at now is destined to collapse our economies. This is a corporatocracy. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world.
We have undercover footage of the World Health Organization in their private forum talking about how the confidence level of the physician community worldwide is decreasing. So now when you have to have a marketing strategy to convince the health professionals, those who have been appointed to safeguard our health and our children's health, when you have to have a marketing campaign, you know that there's something that doesn't smell right.
This is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. It is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. So many of us around the world think that, well, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no. It really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. And about 75% of the population lives in large cities. The goal is to move everyone out of the rural areas and into the large cities. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government, a total control from a central unit. You are not going to get thrown on a train car. You will just have your roads out in the rural areas pulverized and turned to gravel. You'll have your family well monitored. You will have your energy restricted. You will have your school service cut, your sheriff's service cut. You will find that you are not able to get your goods to market, and then you have to move into the city. And then you will move into this high-density development that is subsidized with our property tax dollars, and pretty soon you will have the Wildlands Project, which is predicated on moving people out of the rural areas. And this is how it happens. Globalization is the standardization of all systems. So that includes water, law enforcement, education, energy. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. The three pillars of United Nations Agenda 21 are economy, ecology, and equity, the three E's. And everyone sort of thinks that they know what that means, the idea of social equity. It must mean that, well, everyone's going to have access to clean water and clean air, and no one's property is going to be used as a dumping ground because they are at a poverty level. But really what social equity is about impoverishing huge portions of the population and bringing down the developed nations. So you need to be your own press. You need to educate yourself. You need to get out there and educate your neighbors, your community, your real community. You need to help your children understand that they're being indoctrinated from pre-kindergarten to postgraduate school. All of us have a responsibility to ourselves and to others to work for personal freedom. And always remember that even though we work as a group, if we do work as a group, we're all individuals in those groups, and we answer only to ourselves. This is essential. It's essential. As free human beings, this is what we are. We are free, and we need to continue to be free. But we have to become aware and then make our friends and our neighbors and our community aware as well, and work together.
Between running the show at Tesla and sending his SpaceX rockets into outer space, it's surprising that Elon Musk still has time for his many ambitious side hustles. His latest bit on the side, Neuralink, has flown under the radar for the past few years, but it's now captivating the world's attention for a reason that's as intriguing as it is scary. Musk suggests that Neuralink will facilitate his mission to merge humans with artificial intelligence and subsequently save the human race from AI. Most of Musk's businesses run off the backbone of forward-thinking technology, but one piece of tech that Musk openly fears is AI. He firmly believes that artificial intelligence is the biggest threat to the human race, and that advancements in its technology is a dangerous game for us all to be playing. It sounds a little far-fetched to think that AI could literally wipe out life as we know it, but Musk isn't alone in his worries. In its current narrow form, AI can already outperform humans at literally any mental task, from solving equations to playing chess. But if we were to unleash its full potential and develop AI into a wide form of intelligence, it could and would outperform humans in every way imaginable, especially if we partner it up with robotics. Musk sees only one way of escaping the impending doom of an AI-facilitated human extinction, and that is to somehow merge our own intelligence with machine intelligence. Without realizing, we are all already somewhat merged with machine intelligence by merely owning a smartphone and having access to the internet. With the World Wide Web at our fingertips, we are countless times smarter than without. The only limitation that we have is speed. Searching for information using the internet is slow in the way that we have to find, read, and process before we can relay any information back out. All of this takes time. The goal of Neuralink is to make this connection between man and machine seamless. And the best way to do that is to physically merge the two together using a microchip brain implant. So what exactly is this first-gen brain implant? Dubbed the N1, the very first Neuralink implant is a tiny 4x4mm square chip that will be directly implanted into the brain. Attached to the chip are tiny wires that are 10 times thinner than a human hair, which coincidentally is about the same thickness as a neuron. The threads are embedded into essential parts of the brain, where they can decipher messages that are transmitted between neurons. The threads then relay that information back to the chip, where it records the impulses, evaluates the data, and then stimulates its own responses. The chip and wires not only read the information that the brain communicates, but also inputs information back into the brain as well. A single Neuralink chip will be able to connect and communicate with 1,000 different brain cells, and an individual will be able to house as many as 10 implants, totaling 10,000 connections. Testing so far of the N1 chip has been limited, but a restricted version with just 256 electrodes did see human patients controlling computer cursors, speech synthesizers, and robotic limbs with nothing but the power of their mind. Currently, the best FDA-approved brain implant has just 10 connections. So with this in mind, it's clear that the potential of Neuralink's chip is pretty much unrivaled. You'd think that the installation of such a device would be really complicated, dangerous, and invasive. But Musk has been very clear that the installation of Neuralink chips will be as straightforward as laser eye surgery. In the early stages, the installation of the chip will be done by the hand of a brain surgeon, but eventually, the entire procedure will be machine-operated.
The beauty of this place is absolutely incredible. I have never seen it. All I can say is spectacular, and I know y'all are sick of that word, but my vocabulary is so limited.
The obvious next step after Apollo was to send people to Mars. And we didn't send anyone after that to the moon or Mars or anything. If you'd asked people in 1969, what would 2013 look like? They would have said, there'll be a base on the moon. We would have at least sent some people to Mars.
A groundbreaking discovery could mean future human colonies on Mars are possible. Scientists say a huge lake of salty water appears to be buried beneath the surface of the red planet. Many scientists hope the discovery means Mars has other hidden bodies of water.
So there's oceans of water. I mean, the topsoil is full of water on Mars. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen to breathe, hydrogen and oxygen makes fuel. So that's a huge resource.
Mars was once a warm and wet planet. It had liquid water on its surface for more than 1 billion years. So if the theory is correct that life is a natural development from chemistry, life should have appeared on Mars even if it subsequently went extinct. And if we can go to Mars and find fossils of past life, we'll have proven the development of life is a general phenomenon in the universe.
Creating a self-sustaining civilization on Mars would be the greatest adventure ever in human history. Right now, you cannot go to Mars for infinite money. We have to figure out how to improve the cost by 5 million%. And it sounds like virtually impossible, but I think there are ways to do it.
There are places on Mars that you could just about have liquid water. It can be 20 degrees Celsius, warmer than Minnesota. So there are places where it's not horrendous on Mars.
There are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that, because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough.
The critical breakthrough that's necessary is a rapidly reusable orbital rocket. Humanity landing on the moon, man, that was maybe the greatest thing ever. So I can't believe we're launching from that pad.
The holy grail is 100% affordable reusability, where you don't have to spend like $1 gazillion refurbishing it. We will get that holy grail with this Starship that we're working on now.
The Raptor engine will be the highest thrust to weight engine, we believe, of any engine of any kind ever made. At least 100 people per trip is the right order of magnitude in order to reduce the cost per person. You send the spaceship up to orbit, you retank it or refill it, it travels to Mars, lands on Mars. You can use solar power to extract CO2 from the atmosphere, combine it with water, and produce fuel and oxygen for the rocket.
This is a dangerous mission. It's definitely dangerous.
We're going to look back at 2020 as a year that everything changed, because this is the beginning of that infrastructure, that private sector commercial infrastructure and ability to actually get it done, as long as we don't screw it up.